the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 9. How are you doing? Welcome to the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. We're here every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we'll be back tomorrow. So, have you thought about put together some kido pesa like this so that you can go to Woolworths and get the one item free? Because they're giving away an item if you buy two. It's in your city.
That's what they're doing, actually. And it couldn't have come at a better time. Because the moment you get to the end of this month, you are actually welcoming the new year. December sort of like whizzes by.
Give or two.
And they're saying, look, consider, despite the tough times, consider your family, consider people who are close to you, but consider yourself also. And walk by, have a look at what it is that Woolworth offers. And while you're at it, take them up on that offer that you buy two, you get one free.
Give or two. Free.
Yes, and none of this Kenyan negativity that you bought two, so they put the price of the third one in it.
There's nothing for free in this world.
So
you what?
Put a pause on that one. Go have a look and see.
You just go and buy. See, you're paying for two.
Yes.
If you want to buy two, it's fine. You can just pay for those two. It's okay. But if you buy three, you'll pay for two.
Yes.
Now, surely, what other logic do you want to follow? So we were asking ourselves yesterday this question. Who's a CXO? And we were like, hey, sasa huyo surely. Such people, who are they? At the customer what? Chief?
Experience officer.
Yes.
I would forget now.
Chief Experience Officer.
Yes.
The person who's with us here this morning is not going to talk to us about CXOing, but she understands what CXO is, right? Pauline Roy, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
All right.
Karibu sana. We call that the hot seat of the Situation Room.
All right.
How does it feel?
I'm game.
Your game? So what's a CXO?
A CXO is somebody who sits in an organization and actually looks at how the customer experiences the brand. So you are actually looking at the full customer journey end to end, because different departments do different things towards a certain product consumed by the clients. However, if you don't look at it end to end, what happens is that every department does what it's supposed to do. Unfortunately, then you will have fragmented processes. So you look at the business processes, you look at the whole customer journey, you look at whether the people who are doing the job are fit to do the job. So you look at so many things to ensure that the product being consumed by the client or being experienced by the client, the brand being experienced by the client is actually good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the same people used to be called customer relations manager or customer service manager or officer. Are they the same?
No. There is a difference between customer experience and customer service. Customer service, we define it mostly as the actions that you do sometimes post-sales. It is also the actions that you do to make sure that when the customer experiences the brand, experiences the product, you are actually having interventions. That's where you'll have the call center, you will have people supporting the product, or what you used to call after sales.
Yeah.
But when it comes to customer experience, you really are looking at how does that customer feel when they experience this brand. Have you made sure? Have you preempted? Customer experience is proactive. Customer service in most instances is reactive. It is what you've experienced, then you're coming back and telling me, please fix this for me. Then the interventions that I do around that.
Okay. So, Pauline, you're here today as a mentor and a coach as we continue marking 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Now, we want to look at gender-based violence at the workplace.
Yes.
And you'll tell us a little more about that. But first, CT will welcome you with the day's proverb. Every week, CT goes to an African country.
Yes.
And then it comes with proverbs from that country. And your job is to listen to the proverb and give us your own interpretation of it. Okay?
Yes.
This week, he's in some country which is in sub-Saharan Africa. How is it located in terms of the Limpopo River? Is it still north? Or is it cross-country the Limpopo?
North. Yes, it's still north.
Still north of the Limpopo.
In fact, it's so near north it may actually be inside the Limpopo River. But it's not too far away from the Limpopo River.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's in southern Africa.
Yes.
And it's a kingdom
It's a kingdom.
in southern Africa.
Yes, and the strange thing about it, it's bordered by only one country, rather by two countries, but one borders it on almost every side. I'm giving you hints.
Okay.
And I'm going to
Kingdom
ask-
with only two neighbors,
Yes, and it's in South Africa.
and it's in southern Africa.
Lesotho?
Good try. So this one isn't Omo pick a box, so that is one gone, two. Try.
You're taking me back to my primary school. Swaziland. Kingdom, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. But it's no longer called Swaziland. Do you know what it's called?
No? Remind me.
Eswatini.
Eswatini.
Yes.
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 King.
It is bordered by Mozambique, the northwest. Then after that, it's bordered by South Africa to the north, to the west, to the south, to the southeast.
Yes.
So it's just in, yes. One could argue it's actually in South Africa. Yes. Now the proverb: always taking out and never putting in soon reaches the bottom.
Always taking out and never putting in.
Yes, soon reaches the bottom.
Yes.
I would like you to tell us what you think this proverb means.
You cannot give everything. You keep giving, you will empty yourself. You just spoke about loving thyself.
Yes.
Yes. At some point, you also have to put in, you have to receive, and you have to give yourself. That is how I would look at it.
And you looked at it very well. Thank you. Yes.
Be selfish in a way.
No, every once in a while. In fact, the good book that Christians refer to as the Bible, that manual of operations, also says that you should love your neighbor as you love thyself. So,
Don't love your neighbor more.
as you love yourself.
It's just as much as you love yourself. Okay. Okay. So what do you do now? You do coaching and mentoring.
Yes,
What's that?
I run a company called East Africa Customer Care Center. I do the CXO. I still continue doing that because that's what I'm good at. I also do mentoring and coaching. And why do I do this? Mostly it's because I have walked a long journey. I am no longer the young spring chicken. I have walked a long journey, and I believe one of the things he's talked about, filling that cup, even for yourself, but sometimes feel for others so that they don't have to walk the miles you walked. Sometimes show them a shorter route. So that is why I do mentorship and coaching. I build contact centers. So if you're looking to building a call center, predominantly as people would call it, or contact center, I do that. So that is also something I do. I run an e-commerce called Zella, new in the market, and I also am into logistics. I've just come back from Uganda, where we are running a logistic company called Yellowbird.
Pauline.
And beyond that, I also give back to society. I'm the chair of Commonwealth Business Women. I chair for Kenya. So I bring business women together because for me, I'm experiencing business post-corporate. What does that look like? What does that mean? What are the pains? How do you manage? But beyond that, I'm a mother. That is my most important role. To one handsome son. Yes. The marital status, miscellaneous.
Akona mtu.
Akona mtu?
Huyo handsome son.
Hapana. Ako available. 27-year-old Hank Koda.
Making his money.
Yes.
Lydia, our producer, Tutonga.
Yes.
So, you're still running.
Yes.
You know, so you're still not a spring, you're no longer a spring chicken, but
Yes.
you are still Uko, right? You are still busy.
Yes.
And as you're giving back,
Yes.
you have interacted with people and workspaces in very many ways. And you've seen relations between people in workspaces.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, when you talk about gender-based violence at the workplace, how would you paint that picture? One would think that it's a man beating a woman or a woman beating a man in the workplace. How would you paint the picture of violence in the workplace?
Well, let me first clarify. When we say gender, everybody refers to women being beaten.
As the victims.
As they are the victims. We know how to play victim very well. So it is not about necessarily about that. It is really about, is there GBV going on at the workplace? Is it affecting women as much as it is affecting men? It is about, are you being harassed, sexually harassed? Are you being emotionally harassed? Are you being even maybe physically violated? Because, and this is not just happening between men and women. It is really also men and men, women and women. So these things are happening in the workplace, but we are not coming out and talking about it. So let's put it in perspective. It's about everybody being able to talk and speak out about what is happening at the workplace when it comes to GBV.
So, what are some of the things that we're talking about when you're in the workspace and gender-based violence? It just seems, at the onset, it sounds like two things far removed, right? Because people are at work, they're getting the business done, they go home, one would assume. So when you say there is GBV at the workplace, what are some of the things that we're talking about or that could occur at work?
Let's even just start from where you are joining an organization.
Yeah.
Getting the job. I saw an MCA talking about nominations, to be nominated to work. So let's not just look at the workplace as the corporate. It's really everywhere that you wake up to earn your daily bread. An MCA says this has become gross because for everybody for women or even for men to get the jobs, perhaps you have to date somebody, all right, so that you can actually get that job. People are desperate for employment. And sometimes I've sat in places where I have had young women and young men say, I sacrificed. I knew this person was even HIV positive, but I just do PEP to get the job.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can actually see the first level is even at the entry point, the desperation. If I don't have money, then what is my currency? I'll be violated so that I can get into the workplace. Now you get into the workplace. Do you think that violation is going to stop? You have to pay your duties. You have to pay your tax in the form of giving yourself, whether you're male or female. So that continues. These offices that we see, we hear so many reports even of the small offices where there is a main boss. You to keep the job, you have to be violated. Whether it is the older women or the younger women, if they decide this is how you're going to keep your job, this is what is going to happen. So these are some of the things that we really would like to bring out. And I want to bring a perspective where we are saying we need to stop being ashamed to talk about these things. They're happening, but we are told to shh, don't talk about it. I'll talk about when you're pregnant at work.
Yeah.
What happens when you get pregnant in an office? You're violated in so many ways. You're told you can't do this job because you're pregnant. You're told, get off, we need somebody who can work. We can't afford to give you leave. These are some of the things that are happening in the workplace.
Yeah.
But they go unreported because we desperately need the job. This is what unemployment is driving us into, but we are not talking about it. Because if we talk about it, where will I get any reprieve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about exploitation and a lot of discrimination.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But is it based on gender or is it just based on
human behavior?
Yeah.
It's based on gender because mostly you'll find, let's talk about the way everybody perceives this. A young girl, an intern, walks into the office. She walks around and everybody looks at her and thinks, wow, nice new girl, like it. What happens? The men will go for her. She will decide, am I principled enough to go back home where I'm suffering, or where I could even be taken advantage of by other people because I don't have a job? Or will I choose to be violated at work by this one boss who is giving me money? Or do I go out there and become a slave queen? You know, the word that we have really formalized and decided this is the norm. where I will go and be also I call it violation. Do you know why I call it violation? It is not done because they are willing always. It is done because I have to put food on the table. I have a child.
It's a power matrix.
Yes.
This person, especially if you're an intern, you're new to a new work environment, you're a junior,
yes,
and somebody senior to you,
yes,
is making these advances,
yes,
you don't know how to relate, you don't know how to react, you don't know how to, whether it's
yes,
the senior person is of the opposite gender, you just do not know how to do it.
Yes, and number two, you're not having any sexual relations with this man because you're willing. Neither will you be able to be with this man or woman the way you want to. And that's why I would classify it also as part of GBV, because it is when he or she requires. And I put both genders because we really are discriminating against the men.
Yep.
Women are also doing it. It is when and where I require it, not when this other person. So the person is really violated. Yes. And if they don't do that, acts of violence we have seen continue, even beaten. So
does it happen? Does it go to that extent?
Yes. Yes. And you know what it progresses to?
Pauline, how does it get there?
How does it get there? It is one taking advantage of the other, isn't it? Once it becomes, I'm taking advantage of you, you are no longer human to me. You're something I'm using. And if you bring any commotion and start saying, no, you can't do this to me, violence.
Pauline, can I ask you talk about it happens because one requires it. But
Yes.
aren't there two requirements here, really? The person who is giving, whether it's forced, in this case, really, in their mind, it's forced, right?
Yes.
The person who is giving, in this case, we're talking about sexual favors, whatever it is, a date, whatever.
Yes.
What is required from them is this job.
Yes.
They want the job, so they're
Yes.
ready to do whatever they can.
Yes.
What is required from the person who is soliciting this is control, pleasure, whatever. I can get it because I'm in a position and I can do that. So isn't there a requirement on both sides? It's not just one person who has a requirement. Whether one is outright gross or not, it's still a requirement, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
However,
But it is not justified.
No,
Okay.
it is not justified. And this is why sometimes when we talk about the workplace, it may not be the battering that we see when it comes to domestic violence, but it is equally abuse. It's equally abuse. You're violated, you are infected with diseases, so you may not have the physical injuries, but emotionally you are as battered as anybody else who has been physically abused.
Okay.
Yes.
What aids this culture in an organization?
Number one, I said it's in the inequality. You have no income. You are dependent on that job. It is also the fact that we do not have strong policies. Yes, we have them written very well. Every organization will talk about our sexual harassment policy, about human rights, constitution. Every organization that you go to, you'll find very nice documents. But where are the controls? So what makes this happen again is shame. And that is why I brought the issue of shame. How many people are willing to go out there and say, I have been beaten? Do you know who is beaten the most? The women who have a high income.
By whom?
By their husbands, by their lovers, by whoever partners they choose. Why? Because then the cultural norms and societal expectation is the man should always be the provider. Now, look at the work environment. Women go to work, or men, and let me talk about women in this instance. Let's say you're a CEO of an organization. You're running the show. You have to go. After this, you run another meeting. By evening, there's a cocktail.
Yep.
What time will you go home?
After the cocktail.
Yes, thank you. What will you have taken?
Cocktail.
So, you get home and there is a husband who is waiting for you. what will happen?
Atakuuliza saa hii ndio mtu ambaye ameolewa anafaa kuingia kwa nyumba.
Exactly. And the neighbors also will be
self-respecting.
Yes, a self-respecting married woman.
Coming home
at this hour. Those are the things.
And having consumed this and the other.
Yes.
No
Yes. And you are with who? You are with men. So these are the things that, we need to bring out and talk about. And older, more experienced women need to share and tell younger women what to expect even when you're getting married. Not to start in a wedding and you're being told men are Simbas. You have to keep calming your Simba. How will you calm your Simba and you need the income? These are the questions. Women are being beaten left, right, and center. Top senior corporate women, right? Women who work, let's say, in salons because your last client, you have to finish the business.
Yeah.
So let's not just look at the workplace like, the big top corporates. It is these women who are working shift jobs.
Let me ask you,
yes.
does the victim end up taking it out on someone else?
Sometimes
in
yes.
cases like this.
Sometimes
because we're
yes.
talking about somebody here who is powerful in this environment, but when they leave this environment, they go to another environment where their power is taken away. And then tomorrow they come back into this environment and they are powerful. Do they instinctively find themselves exercising that power?
I would say yes. Because, victims of violence almost equally now become violent themselves. Remember, this person is doing a lot of hiding, is emotionally damaged. So what happens in most instances, you'll find they'll be aggressive also. They're trying to get relief. It is an outlet. And sometimes it may not even be the physical, because at work mostly it is the emotional abuse that really violates that basic right of anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a likelihood that many violators in workplaces
Yes.
are dealing themselves with something else.
Yes.
That you are just an outlet.
Yes.
When this person is bullying you at work,
Yeah.
you're an outlet.
Yes.
When the person is harassing you at work, you're an outlet for what they're dealing with.
Absolutely, because there's so much bottling in. And they're human being. Before you used to be told, come to work. We don't care about your issues.
Yeah.
Those are,
Mambo
yeah.
yako ya nyumbani, wacha nyumbani.
Weka huko. But here you have baggage, and we're talking about bringing the whole person to work. It's a holistic approach to the way employees and employers relate. So you'll find a lot of that. But in most instances, I'll say the greatest violation to the human rights around this GBV in the workplace is not always even the owner of the business. It is the people who have been put into manage.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so then we see a lot. And this is interesting because when we talk about gender-based violence and the calls that have been made from the very top executive, president, former president, and talking about we're going to eliminate it by this year, it's taken on a different form, has it not? Where we think about gender-based violence and we only ever think about the person being beaten in the house, or the person's manhood being cut off, or the person being raped in an alley. And we limit our expression of gender-based violence to those areas. But now here we are saying, in an office where you're wearing a suit, or in a salon where you're braiding hair, or in a car wash, that there is a man or a woman who essentially could ask something of you or take it by force, and it has morphed into something else. It has broadened the scope of gender-based violence. However, in this case, it is asking for your permission.
Yes.
If you do not give it, there is something that could happen to you. In this case, a lot of men and women have lost their jobs, have been victimized at work, and have been frustrated to the point where they have to leave the thing, and in some very dire cases, have taken their lives. This is reality.
Yes.
It's happening today.
Yes.
How then are we supposed to now deal with this GBV that has morphed into, basically it's come to your doorstep. It's not over there anymore. Where we said, okay, that's terrible. That happened in the street somewhere. But it's in your everyday experience. How do we deal with that today?
Let's first start from the fact that we are talking about it here. That we are creating awareness. That we are saying and recognizing this is real. It is not something that is far-fetched. It has always happened. but it was always kept under wraps. So the fact that we are coming out, talking about it, we have seen it, it is the first step, creating awareness. Let's also look at do a root cause analysis, where we are saying being beaten is normal. Neighbors will say, she came at midnight. Why shouldn't she be beaten? Isn't that what happens? Anakujanga usiku. Number 2, tumezoea hao. Stigma. Let us look at the stigma of GBV. Can you imagine like someone like me coming out to say, I have been beaten?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be on social media.
Hey.
I will be slaughtered. I will go to hospital.
Now, everything else you do from this point on will be...
It's based on that.
That's why she's beaten.
Yes.
Or it's because she's beaten.
Do you even know where she comes from? That is why she's beaten.
Yeah.
Do you know she's so arrogant because she was earning this and this salary?
That is why.
That is why she's beaten. Do you know her friends? Do you know where she drinks or whatever poison she indulges in? So the stigma comes with a lot of... That comes with actually coming out is something we also need to address. Then number 3 is to sensitize organizations more and more to be able to put those policies that they have put into place to actually become realities. I have seen organizations where even some of the, the frameworks that are created try to hide what has happened.
Yeah.
Why? This is standard group. Do you think we want reputational damage based on the fact that someone was attacked at work, either physically, sexually, anything? We don't want this reputational damage. So brands are also hiding what is happening. So these are the things that we need. But to be honest, the thing that we need to do is to come and say, yes, the incident happened. We take full responsibility, and these are the actions that we have taken.
Yeah.
The moment we start leading from the front and accepting that because we are not responsible overly, the fact that human behavior also affects the GBV perspective. We hired somebody. So the sensitization. Then it is more about, where do I report? Where do I get support? Where is a safe space? Where can I go anonymously sometimes to report this? Then what happens what are the consequences about the person who has actually violated? And I know we have really talked about it, and I say it's time to stop talking. It is time to actually start doing.
Do something about
Yes.
it. Let's take a break at 25 to 10. Pauline Oroy is our guest. She is currently a corporate mentor and coach. She is also doing very many things. She runs businesses. She starts call centers, customer experience, and logistics, and very many things. She doesn't get a moment to take a break, but Pauline, you should. For your own mental health, take a break at some point and just look at a screen and enjoy a story. For example, Ndo will tell you about 2 very good stories on Showmax. Ebugo.
Do you watch TV?
Yes.
Fantastic.
A lot.
In fact, you're the kind of people we're looking for. Showmax.
Yes.
Showmax, first of all, let me tell you the website, www.showmax.com. You go
It's on
there.
my phone.
Bus.
I'm preaching to the choir. So, of course, so now there are 2 shows I want you to watch out for. One has already, 2 of them have actually dropped a couple of episodes. One is called Foreplay, Four Play, Foreplay, and it looks at the stories of 4 young gentlemen in Nairobi and how they navigate the concrete jungle, their relationships, their businesses, all the stuff that they do. Interesting, top-notch stuff. There's another one called Black and Blue. Also takes you through experiences of police officers. I'm going to watch that, actually, another episode of that tonight, and I'll have more information about it for you tomorrow. But it's actually quite something you should watch as well. So there's great local programming. And there's also other great series, documentaries, there's sports content, all of this for as little as 300 shillings a month. So,
Yes.
It's on your phone. So now those 2 shows, look out for them. Great local content on Showmax.
I'll definitely do that.
So remember to shika Showmax this festive season.
Yes. I will do that.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If you